What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Dre the Brute Daniels, and welcome to an episode of the Indie Corner, where I sit down with everybody from the independent community, writers, artists, directors, producers. Doesn't matter if you're in the game. I want to talk to you. So today we got ourselves a really cool guest. He is one of the writers behind Apollyon 20Xx. Give it up, everybody, for Joshua Adams.
Nice to be here, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely. How are you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing all right. I am a elementary teacher, art teacher, so I'm ready for this school year to end.
I bet it's been wild.
I am counting down the days, my friend. People keep talking about seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, and I tell them, you better watch out. That light's a train.
That's what I keep telling them. Metallica tried to tell us. Metallica tried to tell us.
At the end of that tunnel.
But it's good.
It's
really
gonna be good when it catch up to
you. And first of all, thank you for making the time. I know you're making your round. You're trying to hit every podcast you can on this great promotion. I can't wait to get into your book. But before we get into that, let's just get to know you a little bit, Josh. So who are you? Where you come from? We know you're an elementary school teacher, but how did we get here?
All right. So, I'm from South Carolina, and that's enough information on that. Ain't nobody coming knocking on my door because they don't like what I say. Don't like my face. No, South Carolina. I'm sure you can tell from my accent. I'm a Southern boy.
And so I've heard. I got family in the South.
I'm gonna try to keep that in check. I'm gonna try to control my redneck.
No, Josh, let it loose. Let it loose.
Let it fly. But no, I've always loved comic books. Man, there is a picture of me as a baby in a little carriage, man. And my dad's holding up the comics page from the newspaper, and I'm pointing and laughing at it. I've always loved comic books. Avid reader, so and at some point you transverse from I'm a reader of comic books and trying to draw to where 9 years old, sitting there drawing my own little comic books when I'm supposed to be paying attention to the teacher, and I get in trouble because I'm drawing funny pictures of the teacher in the comic book. So it's something that's always been in the back of my mind as a thing that I love, but it was never anything that I thought I need to make a career out of this. Because when you're coming out of high school, going into college, you're thinking about, I need to make money. I got to build a life, and then you get married and you're like, I got to have more money, so
it ain't cheap.
Made sense. And it ain't getting any cheaper. And, so I just decided, I love kids. I love art. I'll be a teacher. And I do. And I love it. I don't get me wrong. I love what I do. But in the back of my mind, there's always been man, it'd be great if I could just make comics. And my buddy Daniel, he and I met we were both in different bands. We've both been in and out of bands for years, playing music, and not ever playing together, but playing around each other. So we did shows together, and we built up a friendship, and we had so many similar likes. There was a lot of, first off, philosophically, we had a lot in common. We saw the world the same way, we're troubled by the same issues, and saw a lot of things in common, which is rare. But then the same background in comic books, anime, movies, music, all this stuff that were shared influences. And the idea that ultimately became what we call it, the Godfo Universe, Apollyon 20Xx, which is the ash can that's going to be releasing this summer, is just one little piece of it. And I'm sure we'll unpack some of that today. But that started with his band. He wanted to have a storyline, but kind of a story behind the songs.
Gotcha.
Sort of a concept album type thing. And so for the past 10 years, he and I, initially it was just, hey, I got this character. The band's called Blue Bolt. Blue Bolt's this kind of anime style looking, angel.
So let me pause
character.
You there for a second, Josh.
Yeah.
Okay, you're both in bands. What was your genre?
We were hard rock. I was more of a hard rock on the end of metal.
Okay.
His group was a little more punk rock.
Okay.
Punk like Blue Bolt is it's punk mixed with like prog rock. It's an interesting kind of meld of me, which I don't play music much anymore unless it just on my own time. But
yeah, I used to play rhythm guitar for punk cover. So
nice.
It's so that kind of brought me back. It's funny. I'm looking at my guitar over there. I'm like, dang, baby, you got a lot of dust on you. It's been a while since I looked over there. Yeah, like if I blow on that thing gonna go right into my nostrils. I'll sit here and choke in front of everybody.
You gotta blow it out like an old NES cartridge.
Yeah. Straight up and down.
Still plays. Yeah. Still plays.
But that's cool, man.
Yeah. So it started out with like, hey, draw some pictures of this character. And, I did that. We put it on some T-shirts and stuff. And then gradually this idea, the more we tossed it around, the more we said, man, there's a story here. And over the course of the past 10 years, that story grew and grew and grew. So like it became this enormous world and a story that spans literally thousands of years. We have different eras that, if you think about how Star Wars had, you had the Knights of the Old Republic, and then you had like the prequels, Clone Wars, that time era. Then you had the original trilogy, and then the new series, and now they're doing the High Republic. It's what we've got with Godfo is kind of like we've planned out all those eras before we've ever released anything. Like we've sat down and we literally spent almost a decade building lore, figuring out the world, figuring out those eras, figuring out the story so that there won't be a point 20 years from now, which God willing it's successful, but like 20 years from now, we won't have to retcon anything. There's no new 52. There's no crisis. Like we don't have to reboot. It's all fleshed out, and we can go ahead and start telling a story at the beginning, and also have a story in the last era and something in the middle, and you can jump in and enjoy any of those things as an individual story, but there's a connection to something a lot bigger. So like that's Apollyon 20Xx is kind of like the beginning of that story.
So it's kind of like an anthology-esque. Like that was like your idea behind like creating this universe. Well, I mean, like I'm just spitballing. Like that was kind of like the idea behind it.
I'm trying to figure out how this to give you a sense of
bothering me. Why aren't you focusing? What is going on? There it is. Gee whiz. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Got blurry for a minute, man.
Yeah, I'm like what's happening here? Go ahead, Josh. I'm sorry.
All right, so to try to help you see the scope, like Apollyon 20Xx, we've already got like 25, 30 issues, not scripted, but like the story is written.
I got you. Got you.
All right. There's another series that's set in like the era kind of in the middle that we call Biophile Kolga, which hopefully will come out next fall. We've written 100 issues of that.
Sweet Jesus. Okay, so okay. All right. Okay.
There's more.
Yeah, I see how you're putting together, because like I like saying it like this. I'm a lore man. I like lore.
Well, then you're gonna love.
I'm a lore man.
Godfo Universe.
And to see how you built up your universe this way, because like I did the same thing. Like for my comic series, my ongoing comic series, I did the same thing. I wrote these stories I'm producing now a minute ago. Minute ago. And because, like you said, I don't want to have to be like, hey, oh man, I gotta retcon this. Oh man, I gotta let's remix and rewind. But now what you guys are putting together here, for your remind me the name of your universe. The Godfo Universe. Godfo Universe. So that is very intriguing to me. Because you have arcs and they're already kind of ready to go. And the fact that you have 10 issues for an origin or 30 issues for the meat and potatoes, and then another set already ready to go. That's for me. I like forward thinking. And to me, I think that's great because especially even if you want to get into the idea of having constant production, because like in your case, like you work on your ash can now, but let's just say it takes off. Sake of argument, I'm a positive Pete. For the sake of argument, let's say it takes off. So, but now you already have everything written. Now it's just a matter of production. Now I can just be like, hey, I can do this quarterly. I can do this whatever bi-quarterly, however you want to, or if you got production going in that fast anyway. But I like your game plan. I like your strategy behind it. That sounds really dope. I like that.
Well, and kind of the way I am knee deep in drawing my way through the first volume. So like this ash can's coming out. And of course, an ash can, it's like 6 pages. It's a tease.
Yeah.
Although anybody who orders the ash can, who like pre-orders that initial run of the ash can, they're also going to receive a exclusive download of a song from Blue Bolt that ties into our world.
That's really
and
cool.
We're also going to give the unlettered, just the art, but the unlettered first 10 pages of the graphic novel, so that people can get a taste of that too.
That's pretty good.
So like you're getting the ash can, but we're giving you just the tip.
Nice. Sometimes that's all you need.
We'll give you just a tip so you'll beg for more.
Yeah.
But the idea here is we're not going to do individual issues. We're going to release when, again, hypothetically, hopefully we sell out this first run of Apollyon 20Xx of that. I'm naming it and claiming it. We're gonna sell out.
Nice.
All right, so we sell out that ash can. In the spring, you get volume 1 of Apollyon 20Xx. It's 150 plus pages.
Okay.
And then we got intermediately, we're going to give out short stories and music things, lore videos, lots of stuff. We want to constantly engage the people that are trusting us to entertain them between those releases. And what's cool to me about what we're doing, and it's not to spit in the eye of anybody. To me, if you're out there, especially if you're independent, you're out there and you're working your tail off, you create something you care about and you find a way to get it out there, my hat is off to you. So don't take this as a slight. But so much of the independent comics, the art may be fantastic, the writing may be fantastic, but it's small scope. Here's one issue that's maybe 24 pages, and you're not going to get another issue for 2 years.
Yes.
Or they're selling they're selling you a 24-page comic. All that you have of good faith is a picture of a cover, and maybe 1 or 2 black and white drawings, and you have no idea if they have written anything.
Exactly.
They want you to buy in on that Kickstarter, but you don't know. What if I love this book? What if it's the best book I've ever read and you haven't written anything else?
Agreed.
And what if you have no idea where this awesome thing you've started is going?
And Josh, and I think you just hit the nail on the head right there. And what you're saying, and I get what you're saying. Like, hey, I'm not trying to throw shade on everybody how they're doing, but what you're saying,
no, absolutely not.
What you're saying has credence. What you're saying has credence because, like you said, it's about the long game, and a lot of folks in our industry are very short-sighted when it comes to that. Because, like you said, what if what you produce, or whether it's a ash can or maybe one issue, and let's just say you put your heart and soul into it, and everybody's like, "Yo, this is great, Daddy needs more," and now you're sitting there like, "Oh snap,
I don't have more."
Give me 5 years. You know what I mean? That's not how that works. That's not how that works. And like the way that you planned it out, I see myself in it, so it's dope. And it's I like that. And because that's the same ideology I had. I made sure that my entire story arc was written and ready. That all I needed to do was, hey, when we hit production, it's time to hit production. I ain't got to worry about like, oh my God, I better start writing again.
Yeah, I'm gonna make I'm gonna make a bold promise. Everybody that's listening, y'all come close because I'm gonna make a bold promise to you. I will never ask you for money for something that I have not completed. When it comes to the point that we say, here's the pre-order link, that book will be done before I ask you to buy in.
And that's the way it
because
should be.
I do not want somebody to be sitting back waiting for months and months and months for something that they're excited about and that I've promised to them, and I haven't even done it.
Exactly.
I mean, you hear so many stories about people that get so frustrated because they really were excited, they backed something, and then it never comes out.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that I've always had a problem with when it comes to that, like things that get funded on either Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and they're like, "Oh, I backed this 6 months ago, and now I'm getting alerts like, oh, we're almost done print." I'm like, almost done print? My kids are grown now. Like, what are
you talking about? Well, and
it's crazy. It's crazy.
People will say that independent comics can't compete with the big two. I don't think that's true. But
I agree with you.
We can't compete with the big two if we don't do business better than they do.
Exactly.
Like, if you want to compete, you got to understand you're David, that's Goliath.
Yes.
You have to have some rocks in your thing. Like, you got to come ready to fight if you want to beat those big. And I love Marvel and DC, even though here lately they've lost their minds.
Nonsense.
It's all garbage.
It's all garbage.
I think that independent comics have the opportunity. I would say they've always had the opportunity to be better. I've always been more interested in what was happening in Dark Horse or Image, or what, and the sad truth is that manga stuff and Japanese comics outsell Demon Slayer by itself, outsold all of Marvel and DC last year. That's just one title. And there's nothing on this planet that's more pirated than manga.
Yes.
And it still outsells all of the big two titles.
Josh, I can see we're cut from the exact same generation. And I remember when manga was niche.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was telling one of the teenagers that in our youth group the other day. I'm like, guys, because they're big into My Hero Academia and they're like super anime. I'm like, you don't realize, man, liking anime, liking manga, liking comics, that's the stuff that got you beat up when I was a kid. Yes. I was the weird kid because I had Japanese stuff in my book bag. And you couldn't find it. The only place you could find it was if you'd find that one store in the mall that sold VHS tapes, and you had to go to the back right beside the porn, and you never knew what you were going to get. That's it. You didn't know what you were going to get. The cover might look cool, and you get 10 minutes into it, and all of a sudden there's tentacle rape. And
exactly.
You didn't know it might be an awesome giant robot, or it might be the weirdest, sickest thing you ever seen.
And that's the funny thing, because like now, I'm seeing that manga is in the top 10 graphic novels for the last year and a half. I'm just sitting there, I'm like,
every year.
I'm like, what year is this? I'm like I remember, like you said, you got to go all in the back of the deep dark corners. I'm like
where that dude that looks kind of like your uncle's back there scratching himself.
Hey. And like,
you should get that one. That's a good tape, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good tape.
But now it's crazy. So I live in Washington D.C. And I go down the road. This road called Connecticut Avenue. It connects to a whole lot of different things in Rockville. And I went to one of my favorite Barnes and Nobles. It's actually still around. And I went there because they just moved it. I was like, okay, cool. Let's see what they did. I kid you not. 85% of the graphic novel section was manga.
There's one shelf of actual comics.
Exactly.
And then like three whole aisles.
I was sitting manga. There. I'm like, am I in the right store? I'm like, did I miss something? I'm like.
And it'll be the weird. The freaky stuff too.
They don't play. It's selling.
Freaky stuff.
It's selling.
And
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And you know, not to abandon that line of thinking, but there's a reason why we chose to let anime be so influential on the approach that we have with our comic. And I mean, it not just in the fact that like at least Apollyon is going to be black and white, but also in the way we approach storytelling. Because like, can you imagine if some redneck South Carolina boys were to create something that's got enough manga cred that the Japanese people start buying it?
That would be crazy. Talk about flipping the world on its head.
Well, and that's you know, and I know it sounds ambitious. I know it sounds bold. It probably sounds stupid.
No, shoot for it, Josh. Josh, look, I'm with you, brother. When it comes to like what you're trying to break into, everybody has tried to break into something that they never thought it could break into. Like me, like as far as my like I am a Shakespearean-esque writer, but I'm writing a comic that's an action comic that's also a musical. You see what I'm saying?
That's dope.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
like,
dope.
You see what I'm saying? And I've gotten a lot of good reception, a lot of good stuff, like for the series, and it's great. I love it. But at the same time, I was told so many times that, like, hey, that's kind of outlandish. That's kind of crazy. I'm like, listen, I've done everything that.
First of all, wow. I'm kind of crazy.
like, first of all, who you think you're talking to? I'm wild, man. You know what I mean? So,
well,
you know, but it's cool. I mean, we shoot for it.
In a box, Andre. They want you in a box.
That's true.
Because if you're in a box, you're not a threat to their bottom line.
That's true. That's true.
They want you to toe the party line. They want you to push their agendas.
Yep.
They want you to be as woke as you can be.
Oh, yeah.
And
peel back your eyelids.
I think that people, first off, I think the people who read comics, I think you're smarter than that.
I agree. Exactly.
And I think you deserve better.
I agree. And what you're saying, Josh,
you deserve better.
And what you're saying, Josh, is 110 trillion%. And it's been proven. It's been proven by the savvy reader of the comic book community. Because they push all this agenda this and agenda that and whatever the case may be. Nobody's buying it.
Yeah. It's not getting off the shelf.
It's not. It's not.
Nope. They're not buying it. You got boxes and boxes of it just piled up in long boxes because they can't sell it.
Exactly. They got plenty of toilet paper. They got plenty of toilet paper.
They can't sell it. Nobody wants that.
Nobody
garbage.
Wants it.
It's creeping into the movies too.
Oh, it's there.
Like it's and they're not. There. Look how good did Eternals turn out?
Oh my goodness. I am thinking God Almighty that I did not spend money to watch that trash. Yeah. That don't. Okay. All right, I'm gonna rewind just a touch there, John. I'm just rewind a touch. Look, like growing up, I wasn't
push the button.
Yeah, look, I wasn't into a whole lot of cosmic stories. I even on my shelf right now, I got a few of them. I got my Infinity Gauntlet, Silver Surfer, Fantastic Four. But as far as like deep into it, when you start getting into Kang the Conqueror or the Eternals or the Celestials in general, didn't appeal to me. But I was familiar enough with the source material. The moment I saw the trailer, I was like, okay, this is not right. like this is not right.
That's not for me.
I said this here,
I'm not the target audience.
This ain't for me. I was like, I'm gonna sit this one out. It bombed. Oh gee. Surprise. ShangChi. ShangChi, I love City Heroes, but the reality of the situation is ShangChi is a D-list comic character. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's not against the writers. It's not against its production. It never took off. Like all those exploitation-esque comics, like Luke Cage, he didn't really sell very well. All those different ones didn't sell well, but they put them together and made the heroes for hire. Great. That's how you build characters that are niche characters. Giving them their own movie is a way to make them fail. No one's rewatching these films. No one's taking their time to be like, hey, I'm going to get my cousin or my nephew or my niece or my child. Like, hey, come watch Shang-Chi with me. That's not a thing. That's not how it works. Because I don't have a connection to it.
And I'm going to be careful about what I say and how I say it.
Okay, Josh.
I understand and appreciate the need and the desire for representation.
Sure.
I get that.
Yes.
99% of what the big two and the Hollywood and the vast majority of what they call representation is pandering. And that's more insulting than ignoring a group of people.
And that's it. And what you just said, Josh, was perfectly said. Like, Josh, I've been black a long time. Okay?
No.
You wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe it. I've been black a long time. And nothing is more offensive to me than somebody grabbing a traditionally white character and then turning them black and say, hey, he's your hero now.
As though that was that easy.
I'm like, excuse me, good sir. I have a whole entourage of black created characters from the 70s and 80s. This is who I want to see elevated, not bait and switch, not character bending. And like Josh, like I said, I got myself in a whole lot of trouble some time ago because I made a video about character bending and why it's wrong and how I hate it and all that other stuff. Oh my God, I was called every ist and phobe you can imagine.
Well, you kicked the hornet's nest of idiots.
Yep. I'm just like, I said, listen, I've got no beef. I was like, look, I've got no beef with anybody's walk of life. My problem is it is insensitive to those groups of people that are used to their own characters. Why are the only ones that you, as in the mainstream media, see of value are the formerly white ones? That insults me. Like anybody, black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever your lifestyle is, you should be insulted when somebody says, oh, we're going to make this character gay now, or we're going to make this character a female now. You should be insulted.
What they're telling you when they do that is that a black or gay or Hispanic, whatever, they're telling you that your identity on its own is not enough to sell.
Correct. That's correct. That is correct.
And you hear this from people in power. They get away with saying stuff, and I don't care what side you fall on the fence as far as Democratic, Republican, because both sides do it.
Yep.
I mean, but they say things like Joe Biden making the comment, and you can call it a slip if you want to, but when he said that poor kids can be just as smart as white kids.
Yeah.
How do you just say something like that?
Yeah.
They think that people are stupid.
Yeah.
And we're not.
Exactly.
I have no problem. Hopefully the cover for Apollyon 20Xx, I'm very proud of that piece of art. Hopefully that becomes an iconic piece of art. I want that to be an iconic cover. I didn't sit down and say, I'm going to put a black man on my cover because I want to appeal to some. No, that's just who the character is.
Yes.
And if he's a good character and that's a part of who he is, then that's great. But I didn't sit down Dan and I didn't sit down and say, you know what? We really need ourselves a black character.
Exactly.
That's pandering.
Exactly. I love the fact, and what you just said resonates with me so very much, because we'll transition to your work in just a second. But because you got me here. You got me here. And what you just said makes a whole lot of sense to me, because I've always said, I want a good character that happens to be black, or happens to be white, or happens to be Latino, or whatever. Not a black character, or a white character, or a Latino character that happens to be a hero. That bothers me.
I want my characters to be defined by what they do.
Exactly.
Not if their identity, if the only identity that a creator can come up with to make a character interesting is that character's gay, that means you don't know how to write a good character. 100%
correct.
You don't understand character development
at all.
If you have to wrap up, that is a one-dimensional, flat, boring piece of garbage. Imagine your whole identity was just that you're black.
It's exactly. And
that's all you are.
And the fact of the matter is, the whole point of civil rights and all other stuff, all those movements, was so you don't look at this. The whole point was so you can peel this off or peel yours off and be like, there's a person.
Yeah, but that's Andre. I'm Josh. Nice to meet you.
Exactly.
That should be the extent of how much we look at that. And yet, if you look at the big two,
oh my goodness,
they're determined to make so much of a big deal. And I think that's why so many creators are leaving mainstream and coming to the indie market. And I think it's the reason why independent comics are more interesting, is that because there's nobody up above telling us, you need to have a little bit more representation.
Good.
Just let me write a good story.
Yep. And let the characters fall where they may.
Yeah. And if it's organic and it serves the story, that's great. That's fine. Exactly. I don't care if a character in my story happens to be gay or black or anything else. I'm not going to purposefully write somebody so I can check it all.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll be honest, with our world, there's probably not going to be a whole lot of sexuality involved at all, because our people are dealing with an apocalypse. Yeah. They're not going to, they don't have time to worry about it. They got other things to do.
Exactly. Well, Josh, thank you for sharing all that with me, brother. So let's transition right into all this sweet goodness that you got cooking up in here.
All right.
Apollyon 20Xx. So I don't need you to get into spoilers. I don't need you to get into all the meat and potatoes. But can you give us a little taste of like the synopsis, what we're looking at? So what kind of world are we jumping ourselves into?
All right. So Apollyon 20Xx is going to be the gateway. This is sort of the beginning of everything that becomes the Godfo Universe. And I want you to imagine that all of the people in the background that run the world, you can call them the elite, you can call them the rich, the 1%. These are the crazy people that meet up in the woods somewhere and decide the future of everything. These powerful people that fund everything. Imagine that those people were able to create their own homemade god that they control. And they find a way to weaponize their will and their intentions. So basically, they've made their own god.
Okay.
They've made a machine, and they've made a person that can interact with that machine, that they're able to send out a signal and manipulate the population without them even knowing it. So let's say you're at the Starbucks and you're near, and there's free Wi-Fi all around.
I like free Wi-Fi.
Anybody who is within the range of Wi-Fi, anybody that's connected to a device, anybody that's anywhere in the realm of this signal, they can tell you what to think, what to feel, what to believe, and what to do, and you will think it's your own idea.
Right, brainwave manipulation.
It is weaponized intent. It's weaponized thought. It is controlling the population without them knowing they're being controlled. We think about how easy and how quick it is to get canceled in our society. All right. One picture or tweet goes viral and you're done.
Yep.
But imagine that the most powerful people in the world who do not have your best interest at heart, imagine those people decide that a whole subset of humanity we don't need anymore.
Ooh.
And they just send out a signal, and all of a sudden everybody knows, hey, these people have to go.
Wow.
All right, so the main character who you see on the cover of the ash can is a character name. He's only known as Zero. Okay. He was Patient Zero. He's the first person that they experimented on to try to create their own god.
Gotcha.
And as long as he obeyed this group and did what they wanted him to, they told him he was God. But as soon as he started to resist, they decided that they needed to make a new god. So they build they get a replacement for him who doesn't resist, that doesn't disobey. And this ash can is the story of how he escapes and realizes that this person that they call God has to die.
Ooh.
And then the volume that's coming in the spring, the full first volume, is going to be called Live Not by Lies. Is the subtitle of Apollyon 20Xx, Live Not by Lies. he has gathered up a team of other people that were experimented on. They have powers. It's kind of an X-Men type team.
And that's the vibe I was getting. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Josh.
No, you're good.
But when you were explaining how the brain waves and stuff was working and stuff like that, well, first thing that came to my head was Master Mold. That's the first thing that kind of came into my head. I was like, ooh, like a Master Mold Sentinel Apocalypse type. I mean, like, obviously,
imagine if Master Mold or the Puppet Master, any of those characters, imagine if they were controlled by the Clintons and the Bushes.
I like it.
If I disappear, I promise I did not kill myself.
Don't worry, Josh. I'll look for you.
He got my back.
I got
Watch
you,
my
bro.
six.
I got you.
My six. But the idea is that they, as a team, they are trying to stop and destroy this god from reaching its full potential. And ultimately, what's going to happen, and this isn't spoiler territory. This is what we're building. This is the foundation of the whole world. Ultimately, one of these characters, I'll just leave it at that, is going to become, for all intents and purposes, an actual godlike being. He's going to transcend humanity and become a godlike being. And his intention, his will goes out and becomes reality. Ooh. And when it happens, he's so scared, he's so disoriented by that transition that he practically destroys the earth.
Wow.
So the idea of the Godfo universe is that there's been this apocalyptic event, and the whole world once he breaks the world, he decides he's got to figure out a way to put it back together again. And so we're going to see over the course of centuries, there are people who don't buy the narrative that this thing is God. Everybody tells them it's God, and the priesthood worship this thing as God. But when anybody sees past that, they're labeled Godfo. And so it's the Godfo universe, and there's several. Again, there's all these different eras, and there's so
correct me if I'm wrong here, Josh, because I'm intrigued. So would Godfo be like a like in modern terms, will we use the term like apostate for a Godfo? An
apostate would not be a bad way. That's kind of how they would be viewed.
Yeah,
they'd also be viewed as dangerous, so they would be viewed as terrorists. So any assets they have would be frozen. Like they become wanted people.
Got it. Okay,
they're considered insurrectionists.
I like that.
And
that's cool.
That is that's the theme that runs through the whole universe. But these eras, they're so far apart that even though, like, let's say the era where Biophile Kolga, where that comic series happens, they may not even, nobody's alive that remembers the stuff that happened back here, but it's still felt. The impact of that is still felt, even if they don't understand it. There's through lines that carry all the way through, but you don't have to have read this to understand this.
Got it. They can be standalone. They can be standalones.
Yeah, but if you have read all this, this other piece is better.
I like it. I like it a lot. I love a standalone story, especially with one that is stretching all, centuries as the story is being told.
Right.
That is really cool.
And I know it sounds complex, and it is, but we're going to include we're going to have a Godfo website that keeps the timeline clear.
Smart.
So we want anybody to be able to jump in at any point and enjoy it. And if they like it and they want more, well, then they can say, if you come over here, you'll find out more about this section.
I like that. So like what you just mentioned, it being complex. I like complexity that's not complicated. And that is what you guys have here. It's complex. There's a lot of moving parts.
It's rich.
Yeah. It's a lot of moving parts. And I always like to equate it like a Rubik's Cube is complex. It's not complicated. You move the colors around until you get them all there. Complicated is government legislation. That's complicated.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
And I think
what you got going on is good. I like it.
I think the way we've managed to do it, the reason we've been able to do it and make it so complex is that we're not flying by the seat of our pants. We figured out the whole world before we drew the first page of a comic.
And that's the way it's supposed to be done.
And, we're going to be releasing these lore videos that just dig into the stuff that may never even show up in the comics.
Okay.
But stuff that might just help enrich that experience. We want to entertain y'all for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
We want to just we want this world to be something unique. And eventually, if we can get it established, if we can get it out there, if we can build the platform, build the brand, and at some point, we even want to have a pathway for people to, if you bring us fan fiction and it meets our criteria, we'll make it canon.
Hey, that's cool. I like that.
We want it to be engaging, and we've left enough room in the eras and between the eras that there's sandboxes people will eventually be able to play in.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that. I think your plan is really good. I like the idea of fan inclusion. I love that. As a matter of fact, I did a little bit of it myself some time ago. Like the characters that I've created, he gets a different superpower based on the genre of music he listens to.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, so when I've written it before, and then I was pitching the ideas, all the great stuff. Then I was like, hey, what other type of powers would you want to see him do? And then people start throwing out all types of crazy stuff. EDM, bluegrass, so it's all I'm like, oh yeah, bluegrass will make him do this, and now
and bluegrass makes him marry his cousin.
Yeah.
It gives him the power to create cross-eyed children
with webbed feet. Exactly. And so the idea that you guys are cooking up here, especially with the time jumps, that gives you all types of opportunities for spin-offs or one-off side quests, side stories. You guys got something nice here.
And what's cool is when the website goes live and you see the timeline, you're going to see there's already there's things on that timeline that may not come out for years, but we already can tell you where they fit.
Nice.
There's an era called the time of the Great Kings. There's an era way over here called the Reign of June. There's an area and each of these different things, they have a different flavor. The Biophile era where Kolga is happening, that has almost a steampunk vibe.
Okay.
But it has a lot of horror in it. Where Apollyon 20Xx is a lot more sci-fi and manga, and to some degree that Chris Claremont era X-Men flavor to it.
Gotcha.
The different eras have different flavors to them, different genre. So we're dipping our toes everywhere because we love all of these things. And as long as it suits the story, we're not going to shoehorn it in. But if it fits the story, we're going to play with that stuff.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, so man, I can't wait to see what you guys are cooking up. So where can folks get the ash can there, Josh?
All right, so Legacy Comics, and I got a shout out to Patrick Hickey Jr.
This is my buddy.
He's the most dynamic and busy person I've ever seen in my life. He's the hardest working man in the business.
Indeed.
Legacy Comics is who brought us on. And endlessly thankful for the opportunity from them. So if you go to legacycomics.com, you will find everything you need to know about the pre-order. And I mentioned earlier, if you pre-order in this first run, and it's a limited run, and we've already sold a good many. If you pre-order now, you are going to get some bonuses that other people will not have. If this stuff sounds interesting, if it sounds like something that you want to read, and if stuff that's coming later sounds like something you want to read, we need you to buy this this ash can. We're asking you to trust us, but we're trying to show in good faith that if you'll give us a chance, man, we want to open up your world to something awesome.
That is tremendous. That is tremendous. So everybody, check out Legacy Comics and all the work that Josh and his team is doing. They're doing, as I love to say on this show, the Lord's work. They are getting it done. They're getting it done.
I want to shout out for some of the
Absolutely.
other titles in Legacy too.
Absolutely, please.
We've got Patrick's got a book that just came out called The Job, that is like a heist story, but mixed in with pro wrestling, and it's such a cool idea. Condry is a gritty crime drama. Afram is another writer that we have on the stable.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to put it.
He just released Legend of the Night Owl. Like, Legacy Comics is coming for you.
Yeah, they on fire.
We're coming for you. Yeah. We them boys.
Yeah,
we them boys. We coming for you.
Exactly. Patrick been in my ear.
Of rebels.
Yeah, my boy.
We are coming for you.
But you guys are doing awesome work. Everybody, check out everything that Legacy Comics is doing. They're doing terrific things. They're taking over the game, and I love to see it. I love to see all the work that you guys are doing. So, Josh, I want to thank you from the bottom of my cold heart for coming on to the show and sharing.
Thanks for having me. This has been a blast.
Absolutely. This will not be the last time we speak, my friend. Make no mistake about that.
Sounds good.
Absolutely, absolutely. So anybody, that right there is Josh Adams. Check out all the great work over there Legacy Comics are doing. Tremendous things indeed. Take a bow. But who am I? You already know who I am. I'm Trey the Brew Dance. Follow me on all my dope social media platforms. Appreciate that, Josh. That'll put it right under my face. They're not there yet, but they'll be there at TheBrute00 on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, like, comment, subscribe, and share. You guys have been tremendous. This has been the Indie Corner, and I'll catch you all next time. Also, if you want to support my channel, check out spinwiz.com or download the SpinWiz app and check out my comic series, Trouble. It was written with a lot of love, and it was definitely my favorite comic series to write. I've also written it in English and in Spanish, so whatever floats your boat, I got it for you. Thanks again, and check it out.